ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the...
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it is Tuesday, January 23rd, a nice 38 degrees, sunny on Cape Cod. Little curveball today. We're going to move Andrew up to the Breakfast Bankroll. Big board in the NHL. Want to get his thoughts on what's going on. Can the Avs be stopped? No, not at least in a 7-game series at this point, but we got a long way to go there. We got the Olympics coming up and a lot of good stuff to talk about. As we said yesterday, Scotty will be back in this spot on Thursday. So hats off to the Texans. Boy, did that defense open up a can. And hey, Aaron Rodgers, do yourself a favor. Go out on top, kind of, sort of. Your last pass is a pick six. How's that sound? So, but first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber, Harley, Carol, Bugs, Mindy, Drew, Jacob. The list is endless. Come on down. Sign up. Downloading the app, of course. And then head on over to X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it today, and follow the WagerWire community. And, of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Terry Smith has done wonders. Steak, seafood, chops, appetizers, wines. He's got it all. Head on over to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Andrew McInnis. What's up, Andrew?
Good morning, Jeff. How are things?
Things are okay. How about yourself?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, look, the NHL players are tired right now, but I'm excited to have a lot of hockey games every day. So, we got a lot yesterday on a Monday, which is supposed to be a rarity, and then 10 games today. Look, this is all we can ask for in the handicapping world and in the world of content that we live in. I want to have games every day, and that's what we have here. Handful of teams on a back-to-back, but some pretty good some scheduling spots here for us to look at. A few player props. Haven't finished my prop work, but a few player props for us. And hey, I know it was only the Vancouver Canucks, but feeling pretty good. Good bounce back game for my Habs. And yesterday was the double system play. You and I both got involved in it. Happy to cash that.
Systems, we talk systems. We look for the plus money. We look for value. Value only is value when you cash that.
Yes.
We do know that. This year in the NHL, you've seen some teams come out smoking, on fire. We were very profitable on the Ducks, let's say. And there's a handful of other teams, but they've come back down to earth. The cream is slowly rising to the top, as we've seen, like the likes of Tampa get hot, the Dallas Stars get hot, and then there's the Avs. And listen, I'm trying to go back. I can't even remember such a dominant start to a year This team, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 3 or now 4 games they've lost in regulation, sir?
I believe 4 games, but it's been more rare for them at home. Yeah, you're right. 3 in reg, but that's the funny thing about yesterday, Jeff. Even though they ended up losing at home, it still ended up being in overtime. So it's like at least they still have that going for them.
Yeah, I think it was on your channel on Friday. The numbers, you're not going to wake up and see a 5-1, 6-1, 10-1. That number's long left the barn. It's almost like you just got to grin and bear it and just add it to the portfolio, or you're going to be laying the minus 300 in round one, then you're going to be laying minus 180 in two, and hope to get to the finals. So just add it, and then you can have some fun with it as it progresses there. You talked about your HABs. Listen, I had a direct message text all lined up to you. I'm like, you guys aren't going to do this to me, right? We had the first period over. Vancouver scores early. That's what they do in the first period, or they give up a goal early. You were peppering them on shots on goal. Thank God, as soon as I saw the penalty in the last 2 minutes, I was like, all right, I felt okay because I thought you'd get that goal. Sure enough, 1-1 at the end of one. And then you played pond hockey after that.
They didn't make a sweat too long on that power play, thankfully. It was a very peculiar move, which I'll tell you what, Martin St. Louis would have taken some flack for if it didn't end up working. But he actually sat Lane Hudson on the bench for the first power play unit. Maybe they had to shake something up. They wanted to change things. They wanted to have that shot from the point. That's the one thing Lane Hudson doesn't necessarily have, is that shot threat from the point. Well, just as the commentators were finished talking about the fact that, hey, Lane Hudson's not out there on the first unit, before they could even finish their sentence, Noah Dobson puts it in the net, and a good screen by Slavkovsky. As you mentioned, though, the pond hockey, the big thing that I'll say, I talked to you about this all last year. I can just hear myself being a broken record talking about it. They had no second line last year. It was just one first line and probably a handful of third or fourth lines. There was no clear-cut second line on that roster. Now, when you look at this team, especially with dipping Slavkovsky down to line 2, they have a top 6. And it's not really something that you've been able to say about this Canadiens team for a very long time. Now, I'm going to say something, Jeff. I'm a crazy Canadiens fan. I live, breathe this team. I'm upset about my Packers over the weekend. But on a scale of all my favorite teams, I'm so diehard with the Habs. The media and fans can drive me crazy, and I'm one of the fans. One thing that makes me laugh is that we start to get production from Slavkovsky, 3-point night, Demidov, 3-point night, 2-point night for Kapanen. And then there's going to be the people that are saying, wow, Suzuki hasn't looked great lately. Caulfield hasn't looked great lately. Can you ever be grateful? They're getting some help. They're finally getting some help. And then people say, oh, I can't believe Suzuki hasn't scored in a few games. It's like they're winning. That's all that matters, is they're winning. You can never please everybody, right?
What is the expectations throughout Canada right now for the Habs, and what's the realistic expectations from Andrew McInnis? Is it playoffs, win around? Where are you and where is the rest of Canada?
I would say it's sustainability, like to not have any dips. I think is the big test with this Montreal Canadiens team. And I know it might sound dramatic, but on Saturday, luckily I was distracted by getting my heart broken with the Packers. But with that, they got shut out against the New York Islanders, right? And with this high octane offense, they haven't really been getting shut out at all lately. I love that bounce back ability, but for the full season, from what I'm hearing from the media and just all the podcasts I listened to, I was actually just catching up on one from last night, a post-game show. I think the real consensus here is a competitive first round series, but people are more and more now starting to take them serious as a team in the East. Look, they've taken care of the back-to-back champs many times. They've defeated Carolina. They've defeated Tampa Bay. They struggled against Detroit. I said the New York Islanders. I meant to say Detroit. But you know what? Like, this is a team that if you look at it, and you don't just look at preseason expectations and you look at, current expectations, maybe it's not enough credit to just say a competitive first round series. But that's all I really want, is a competitive first round series. And the crazy thing is I know I'm biased here, Jeff, but I thought that it was if you look back at last year's series against the Capitals, take away empty net goals, a lot of the games in that series were 1-goal games, even though they lost the series 4-1. So I'd be very, very happy to see a very competitive first round series here.
Uh, you know, I'm trying to honestly, and you know better than I do here. Where would the honey hole be for Andrew in a first round matchup? Where would it be? Where the assumption is you probably would have home ice, but as we see in the NFL and across sports here, here's the Denver Broncos, a number 1 seed, a week off, and yet here come the Bills, a number 6 seed and favored. So where is the honey hole? Home ice, first round, where you'd be short dogs, or is there a team out there that you'd match up that you think you'd actually be favored over?
I mean, in an ideal dream world, if they could if you would have told me that I'd be telling you on January 13th that I'm cheering for them to win the division, I would have told you you're optimistically crazy. But it could happen. The end of the day is there's not going to be any easy matchup in the Atlantic Division. We just saw it with Detroit. I think from me, the way I look at it is I would rather play. I actually want to avoid Detroit, and it's not just because of what happened on Saturday. It's because they sort of play that physical style, I think, that Montreal might struggle with to certain degrees. If they can get the top spot, I feel comfortable that they can take down some of these wild card teams. Right now you've got like Buffalo, even Toronto. I could feel comfortable against them. You've got Pittsburgh and, those teams in Philadelphia kind of buzzing around the wild card spot. But the big thing, and you touched on it, is that for the most part, people are nowadays, I would say, overrating home ice advantage. But as well as I do what the Bell Center is capable of. And just look at the first win they got last year, or the only win they got in the postseason. It was Game 3. It was that typical, you go down 0-2 on the road, you come back home, the Bell Center goes bananas, and you win that one. So how much different would it be this year, Jeff, if they can start the series at home? But the way it's shaping up right now, it's, Tampa Bay, Detroit, and Montreal in a 3-way race for that division.
Before we get into today's board, some puck props and thoughts, of course, go follow Andrew at McInnis Picks, of course, on X, and of course on Wager Talk. It is $5 Tuesday. We'll get into all that stuff down the road here. I'm going to give you the stage here. Packers, 21-3 halftime. Ben Johnson, the villain after the first half. What stupidity. Holy cow. What are you doing? Going for it so many times on 4th down. Blah, 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 blah. And his exact words were, well, we knew we had to score. We had to keep up with them. We tried and we failed. Well, second half, and listen, the Bears have done this all year. 7 games this year, they've come back in the fourth quarter. No one scripted, of course, 25 fourth quarter points. At the end of the game, it's now LaFleur, fire LaFleur, let's go hire Harbaugh, blah, 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 blah. But the true bottom line is, and it's been a problem all year, there's no Mason Crosby there. They'll insert Brad McInnis, missed extra point, which that final drive, you would have been kicking a field goal for the tie, of course. A couple missed field goals, a wild fourth quarter. Packers bow, Bears move on to host the Rams. As a fan, I know gut-wrenching, but just your thoughts on Saturday.
You just kind of got that feeling that it's never going to be easy. It's never, ever easy is really how I felt. Like I went out with a couple of my friends, and it's funny. A lot of my friend group is broken up with Patriots fans, Packers fans, and then you've got your kind of little sporadic like Eagles, Cowboys, but the majority of us are actually either Patriots or Packers somehow. And nobody, I'm telling you, Jeff, nobody at the table was calm at halftime. Like, and pretty much how I am with the Canadians. I had a good friend. That's how he is with the Packers. And like, it was honestly sad to watch because I just was thinking about how much he loves that team just the same way I am with the Canadians. And like, I just saw his heart slowly get ripped out for a full 2 quarters. The missed extra point, as you talk about the field goal, there's so many the cool thing about football is that I find that, I mean, it's the same thing with hockey, but I find that there has to be a series of things that lead up to a comeback, like a series of bad things or good things taking place. It's not like when you're down that much, you can hit 5 3-pointers in, a handful of minutes and you're back. And, it's very hard in a possession game like football to do it. And they just got completely shut down. I was a little bit confused with some of the play calling, but I'm not going to lie to you. People are going to say stuff about Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. How many receivers got hit in the hands as well? Like, there were a couple of receivers that got hit right in the triangle, right in the hands. And that's not acceptable either. At the end of the day, they got to be able to come down with those plays. But there's protecting a lead, and then there's feeling a little bit too comfortable. So I got to shift it back to you. Do you think that they came out of the halftime a little bit too comfortable?
No, I personally don't. Now, again, I'm not in there. I don't know how LaFleur is at halftime. I don't know what changes they make. I do know, if I remember correctly, 3-and-out 3 straight times. You tend to, the mind, it's like, all right, we played a perfect 30 minutes. Now we just got to play mistake free for the next 30 minutes, and most likely we're going to come out of here with a victory. The dust has settled, okay? And listen, I can look at outside looking in. I know Jeff Halfley, the DC for the Packers, is going to get some interviews for some potentially other teams. And let's be honest. You lost Micah Parsons. You lost Tucker Kraft. Jacobs was banged up. Your wide receiving core, every time they made a contested catch, next thing you know, they're in the blue tent. I didn't know each week. Is it Watson? Is it Romeo? Is it Jaden Reed? And the list is, you have a great, great core there. To now just turn around and fire LaFleur, it's going to set you back because there's only one Jim Harbaugh. And now, if you want a runner-up, you can say, well, if we don't get Harbaugh, we get Stefanski. And then if you want the third runner-up, you're not bringing Mike McCarthy back there, Andrew.
I will never watch a game again if that happens. But, how do you feel, Jeff, like it works with like I'm not trying to change topics, but the whole Steelers situation, like you got a guy that's constantly giving you a winning record, but not getting it done when it matters. Like, how do you think that goes? Like, to me, who Tomlin kind of reminds me of in the NHL is Rod Brendamore from the Hurricanes, right? And that's the kind of thing that you mentioned as well is if you're going to make a coaching change, make sure you're improving the team and make sure that coach actually made mistakes, that was costing the team. Sometimes you need a fresh look. Sometimes maybe it's just not working out. The sad thing is, next year in that playoff game, if they're in that same situation, they might not have that lead at halftime. Like, if you told Jordan Love he'd have that lead at halftime, he'd say, like, wow, we dominated them. Like, we won the game. And next year or the next time they get there, it might not be that easy. But how do you feel that you deal with coaches like that? Obviously, injuries you mentioned for the Packers, but, like I always bring things back to hockey, but with the Hurricanes example, typically they've been winning the division or top 2. They win the first round, but then they have nothing. So if is Rod Brendan, like if that happens to the Hurricanes again this year in the NHL, win the first round, and then the second round, they lose to an Atlantic opponent or to another Metro team, is that good enough? Or does the coach get to say, hey, look, we were the best team in the regular season? What do you think about that? I'm curious your thoughts on the Tomlin situation, too.
The Tomlin situation and the Steelers, I lived it. That's the Boston Bruins under Harry Sinden. Hey, guys, get into the playoffs, win the first round, because we're getting the gate. We're getting the concessions, and then anything after the first round is gravy. Now Tomlin hasn't had a losing season in 19 years or whatever, 9-8, 9-8, 9-8. They have done nothing since the Super Bowl and the Big Ben era. The signing of Aaron Rodgers only added the same thing, because you were not going to succeed. Aaron Rodgers, you saw it at the Jets. He's just a shell of himself. You saw what happened when the big bad Texans turned up their heat on the defensive side in the second half. He can't get out of his way. He can't throw a 20-yard completion unless it's a hook and lateral. He's done. He's washed. Yet they made the playoffs. Tomlin survived. So if you want to move on from Tomlin, or you want to move on from LaFleur, you want to move off of Brindamore, who you gonna bring in? And there you gotta look yourself in the mirror and look at the consequences. You fire Tomlin, you bring in XYZ, the next coming, and you don't make the playoffs. How the fans gonna feel? You fire Brindamore, and Carolina makes the playoffs but doesn't win the first round. How you going to feel? You fire LaFleur, bring in Halfley. You look at that division, Andrew. I think the Lions are ready to take a step back. I don't know what's going on with Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy. Ben Johnson and the Bears aren't going anywhere. So if you want to battle the Vikings and the Lions and take a shot with a new coach, good luck. That's not the answer, though.
Well, and it's also one of those things, like, did the coach is always responsible. I get it. But does the perception of him change in a better or bad way the fact that he had such a big lead at halftime and they didn't win? Because
can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Did he miss the extra point?
Exactly. Nope, he did not.
Did he miss the 2 field goals?
He did not. And he didn't drop balls either.
Mm-hmm. The key to a coach is to have the team prepared and put them in an opportunity to win. He sure did that at halftime. And I don't think he did anything off that I'm remembering off the top of my head to physically cost them in the final 30 minutes. It wasn't LaFleur's fault.
And if I can add about the defense as well, their third down defense is abysmal. I don't know what the exact numbers and analytics are here for this, but my friend and I, we had a running joke. Like, they could be 3rd and 20, like the Bears or whoever they've been playing all year. Like, the Packers were such a great first and second down defense, and then it could be 3rd and whatever, and they're going to give up a first down. And that type of style can wear on your defense. And I'm not going to make excuses for no Micah Parsons, but it would have been nice to have his pressure to really bother Caleb Williams. But, I feel like there could have been some nice defensive stops that were used, and that didn't come up clutch for them a little bit. But, yeah, tough ending there. Looking forward to the next coming week. We did go 2-1 on props over the weekend. We lost the big one at night on Sunday night. Yesterday, it turns out there was only one team worth putting props in if you're betting overs, and it was the Texans. Anything on the Steelers, you could have made a killing betting every single player under on the Steelers. As far as player props are concerned, you would have had a pretty good day. So looking forward to the next round, though. But, Jeff, I got to say, it was pretty fun, and it looked like a lot of these games were going to just go right down to the wire, and that's what we love about the playoffs and everything.
Yeah, they all did up until Sunday night, and of course last night. It was kind of funny on my Twitter timeline. I brought up Thanksgiving, where the Dogs went 3-0 and they all won outright. I brought up Black Friday, where the Bears traveled to Philadelphia as a dog. They covered and won outright. So that's 4-0 there. The 3 games on Christmas, all 3 dogs covered. Okay, so now we're at 7-0. These are the prime time standalone games on the special days. Now I bring up NFL Saturday wild card weekend, where the two dogs all covered. And then I bring up Sunday, the first two games, the dogs won. There was a stretch from Thanksgiving to the first four NFL wildcard games, dogs 11-0. And then the Patriots, big second half cover and win. And then, of course, the Texans, big second half cover and win. Before we get to tonight's board, Blue Jays, I know you love affair for the Blue Jays. You spend the money on Cease, the rumblings, Tucker, most likely going to let Bo go on to greener pastures. I look at your lineup and I see a lot of names that caught fire last year, whether it was the second half or the playoffs. Hard for them to match that. I remember you Savage, the next coming to Roy Halladay, the excitement for him. Hard to match that. Thoughts? We got about 30 days till pitchers and catchers report. Any rumblings? Any shot at Tucker? Now we're going to move on. How's Andrew feeling and how's Jay Country feeling?
Hearing you say that is just crazy for me. I guess it's nice to have a team go on such a big run because going that far made the season much longer, I guess. But they don't get much of an off time, do they? MLB players. It's a little bit of vacationing and then you're back at it. Look, I think the consensus is nobody really wants to lose Bo, but a lot of people are still very confident in this roster. Like, you listen to the media, you listen to the Sportsnet radio hosts, you listen to the TSN guys, you listen to a lot of the MLB base, the Blue Jay podcasts. People think this team can run it back. And when I say this, Jeff, I'll make it really clear. A lot of these media members, typically in Canada, when it comes to Toronto-based teams, not just the Maple Leafs, are usually negative. Like, they're not usually this positive. And I think the biggest reason people love the consistency level of these guys, with playoff Ernie, getting on base nonstop, and some of these guys that just really stepped up, running the bases well, playing small ball, but also hitting some homers. But nobody wants to lose Bo. But he's interviewing with teams. But I like how they're staying aggressive on the market as well. They're looking around, they're shopping around, still picking up guys. I mean, if we can solidify and have some pretty good relievers, I'll tell you, I'm pretty confident in this starting pitching lineup. So very, very excited. Hoping to get to a game this summer. I didn't get to a game last year. I watched a lot of games, but hoping to get to a game. But people are feeling very optimistic, very confident. Take that how you will. You never know how that's going to work out. But based on what I'm hearing, media, radio, people are hoping they can run it back. What do you think about the Tucker situation, the Bo situation? I mean, do you think Bo is just living it up, kind of taking some interviews, bobbing around a bit? Or what percentage would you put it at right now for the Blue Jays bringing him back? Zero. Yeah.
Just
what's the name of the new guy that they signed? The guy from Asia?
Yeah, they signed him as a third baseman. Then they took the pressure off him. He's going to be the super utility guy, play third, second, wherever you need him. Getting back to Bo, had a Zoom call with Philadelphia yesterday, Dombrowski, and now Dombrowski knows also the Red Sox lose Bregman to the Cubs, and so we're quote unquote in the Bo market. We're not cutting a check for $300 million for anyone, even if Ohtani walked through that door, they'd have a hard time paying $300 million. That's how cheap we are right now. But my point is, he's going to be a Philly. There's no way in holy hell that Dombrowski's going to let him get back into the free agency market where a Red Sox or a Mets or a Yankees or a Jays can come back. He will be a Philly by the end of this week, maybe today or tomorrow. That's just my 2 cents there.
Wow.
Big board tonight. My headline, can HABS slow down? It says slow down. OVI and the CAPS tonight. OVI keeps chugging along. The CAPS not off to that great start that they had last year, but they're showing some flashes of especially at home. They've had some good games at home. They've had some of those higher scoring games. OVI, I think he's got 17, 18 goals or something like that. Your Habs on a back-to-back. Initial thoughts on your Habs tonight?
Well, a lot of the times I've talked about this where the second half of back-to-back is a little bit dependent on how you did in that first half. And, with the Canadians not just getting a win, getting a real confident win. You're going ahead and, oh, I just lost you here, Jeff. You still got me?
I do have you. Go ahead. I'm going to hit the refresh. Keep talking.
It's one of those games where you're not just having a back-to-back at home or close cities. You have that front half of the back-to-back at the Bell Center, fans going bananas, fans all excited. Then you have to get on a plane and head over to Washington. The cool thing is, with this weird 3-goalie system Montreal's doing right now, although they admittedly said it wasn't really their plan going into the year, that they already have Sam Montembeault in Washington. They flew him there yesterday. There were some insiders reporting about that, so he should be well rested. You know what I'm going to say here is that I've kind of changed my mind on back-to-backs and lack of rest. At least lately, for some teams, I've noticed that back-to-backs or fatigued spots have actually led to some lower scoring games. I used to like the 3 and 4 nights, the back-to-back overs, sloppiness defensively and such. But sometimes the fatigue can lead to simplicity, taking your time and just making the simple plays and getting the puck deep. Maybe the under could be in play, but I come into this one a bit worried about the Habs. I do think the Washington Capitals will have success tonight. And I think it's all about the defensive play for the Montreal Canadiens. And if I was doing keys to the game, if I was calling the game today on TSN, I would say survive the first 10, survive the wave, because the Washington Capitals are going to come heavy. They're going to come hard. And I hope they get Josh Anderson back, because Washington's very physical. And you saw what happened last year in the postseason. The one kryptonite for the Montreal Canadiens are big teams that can slow down their speed.
10 games on the board before I flip it to you for pucks, props, and thoughts tonight. There's a banana in the tailpipe tonight. And the problem is there's a team leaking bad oil versus a team that's been my kryptonite this year, and that's Dallas at Anaheim tonight, the late game at 10:07. Overnight number Anaheim minus 114. In what world is Anaheim ever favored in this game? And of course, everyone's running to the window right now because they're handing out free money, Andrew. Dallas now minus 122 with the 6.5 over. What did Vegas see last night to make Anaheim a favorite? And in what world is Anaheim a favorite, or should have been a favorite, now plus 110 on the money line?
Yeah, that one's really weird. I'm not sure if it's the lineup issues for the Dallas Stars. I'm not sure if it's, maybe some more respect for road home splits when it comes down to this Anaheim Ducks team. You've got just really one main injury for the Dallas Stars, and that's here it is right here. Here it is right here. That we may not have Jake Ottinger in nets here. And so that could be the real difference if we do see, let's see here, projected goaltenders. It looked like it's because it's going to be Casey DeSmith. That could make a big difference. I think that Dallas is one of those teams that, and I should have predicted that, obviously, because of the goaltending situation. But Dallas is one of those teams that it's probably a little bit worth it to overreact to goalie situations. But you talked about it though, Jeff. You mentioned it though when you were talking about the situation here at the game, because I thought it was 50-50. So when you talked about it, I think this is one of those ones here. When you look at Anaheim, maybe they've dipped so much that people are ready to gut back on them. I know you had success betting on them earlier in the year. Maybe they're willing to jump back on them. But how do you feel about maybe road home splits? People jumping back on this team because they're at home a little bit, and maybe they weren't as confident in backing them when they're on the road.
No, I agree, and I'm looking at some team totals here, and usually with our model, when both team totals are 3.5, it's an over 6.5. There, Dallas team total over 3.5 plus 111. You can get them at Ducks team total over 3.5. You can get it plus 129 here, and I can just imagine what this is. I'm gonna go 145, 150. I'm going to take a look right now at Circa and see what these guys are putting up for a first period over, because this has got to be juiced to the gills here. Or Let's see here. Survey says wager in NHL first period over 145. Over 145 first period over. This is one of those popcorn pom-poms. You said the magic word to Smith. And I can't stop a nosebleed right now. I'm smiling ear to ear. I'm like, holy moly. You could take both team totals over, and as long as one gets there, it's plus money. You could take over 6.5 with kind of confidence, and you could play the first period over 1.5 minus the 145. Anyone that gets our alerts, and you know this, use the risk button. I'm not having you run to the window and lay in the 45 cents. So use the risk button and just net and profit a little less there.
Hard to argue it. Hard to argue. Let's get some action early on. Do you think that they're a little bit like Vancouver? I know obviously Anaheim's better than Vancouver, but they're kind of like that team that gets off to hot starts, especially at home. They're a good first period team to look at, score the first goal, bring the energy, and maybe get it going. That's the flip. That's the flip of the day. I would say, looking at that one, and I want to add too. I do like backing the Ducks in these types of situations. I think that when they're a big underdog at this point right now, we're going to understand why. And people are probably going to lose because they're going to say, wow, this team is an underdog, but now the book's showing some respect. I think that's time for us to show respect. There's a time and a place for us to disagree with the books. And I don't think when it comes to Anaheim, we should disagree with them. Like right now, when they tell us they're underdogs, we'll agree with them. And when they're favorited, we'll agree with them. The first period overs have not treated me well this year, Jeff, at all. But we've now hit 2 in a row. Don't look, but we're on a roll with the first period overs. You got the team right behind you there, the Boston Bruins. Now they blanked the Pittsburgh Penguins. What a weird weekend for the Boston Bruins. How do you have a Saturday performance like that and then a Sunday performance like they had? I'm going to look at the numbers because I swear, just off the top of my head, when teams score like more than 6 or 7 goals, it seems like the next game always goes under. They blanked the Pittsburgh Penguins 1-0. We got a Tampa Bay team playing second half of back-to-back. I see no way that we can avoid looking at this first period over spot. So that's one that I'm certainly circling when it comes to this board here today. Looking at Toronto and Utah. Jeff, how many people are going to be shocked about this price today? The Utah Mammoth. How many people are going to look at their odds logic pages and keep double checking and triple checking because they don't think it makes any sense? The Leafs are rolling. The Leafs are playing well, but the Leafs are emotional. They are an emotional team. And I'll tell you, last night's win meant a lot to them against the Colorado Avalanche. And it's going to be so typical when they lose tonight against the Utah Mammoth. And the fans were planning the parade last night. They're back in the playoff spot, and they're going to lose to Utah tonight in second. It's just so perfect. It's written in the stars here for this to happen. Situational letdown spot. This is a handicapper's cliche here, Jeff.
Utah team total over 3.5 at plus 112 too.
That's tempting. That's tempting. Just and it's kind of like coaches. Nobody ever says when a game is when a team wins, wow, the coach was great, but when they're losing, oh, the coach stinks. Joseph Woll is getting some credit by media, but Joseph Woll is one of the reasons this team is doing well. They're playing Wonderwall in the locker room apparently, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, he played fantastic. Anybody that beats Colorado right now, in large part, has to be from their goalie, right? And I think he did a good job. So second half of back-to-back, he's not going to be in there. I think it's something we look towards with Utah. Like, how many people are going to wake up today or maybe get off work and say, I can get the Leafs at plus money like this? And you know what happens when that happens.
It's usually called the banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah. And we'll find that out at about what time here? 10 o'clock Eastern?
There you go. Any props? Anything else before we let you go?
Props, we had just a couple to mention here. Head-to-head props worth mentioning. I'm going to take Jake DeBrusk at plus 105 for a point. He got scratched a couple games ago for Vancouver. They're struggling. They're on the road, but he brings the energy. And Ottawa right now is leaking goals. I love the fact we're getting around plus 105, plus 106. Shop around, get the best price that you can with that one. I do look towards another team player in that game was Drake Batherson to get one. Only minus 130, 140, which isn't too bad as well. When I'm looking at some of the other games, I kind of want to touch on a team like Carolina because they're in second half of back-to-back right now. But second half of back-to-back after a game that they lost, they're going to be very motivated. You and I, don't get me started. That was a penalty in overtime. We should have won that one. But shots on goal props, I haven't been betting them as much lately, but there's one guy we got to look towards, and that's Shane Gostisbehere, the PP quarterback, the defenseman. He gets a lot of shots. You can take over 1.5, or you can take that alt number at over 2.5 if you want that good plus money price. And I'm going to go with Logan Stankoven to get a point and maybe sprinkle on the assist prop as well. Second line centerman. Carolina's a great team for props, Jeff, because nobody really gives them credit. Under the radar team, not really a flashy team. Probably a team worth looking at a little bit here in this one. So that's about it for me. I'm going to start exploring a new market here. And I remember there was a time when you started sending out some stolen bases stuff in baseball. I'm going to start sending out, or at least tweeting out, some blocked shot props. That's kind of a new market and a new way of looking at things. And I think that's one of those ways that you can really make some money. The block shot props, whether you're on, a fantasy app or whether you're on, your regular betting website, most places should offer the block shot prop. And you can just really dive into the analytics on that, which teams are putting pucks to the net, which teams have high shots, because if you're playing a team with high shots, more chance for you to get blocks and things like that. So I'll try and keep you updated on that.
We can't wait. As always, Scroll has been going the whole time. Go follow Andrew on X at McInnis Picks, of course, at Wager Talk, wt.buzz /AM, where you can get all his plays. Does a daily show at 11 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock his time. On Wager Talk. It's $5 Tuesday, but as we always wrap up this segment, Andrew, tell them what you got in store for them.
It's a big day. I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't a big day. We try to cut the the hyperbolic terminology, but we've got Customer Appreciation Day. So I got to play up. My team total of the day is up for just $5. And I also have a 5% play. Those have to stay regular price, but I got a promo code for you guys. Very simple. Save 10. Save 10 is the promo code. If you want to get $10 off my 5% big bet play. And if you don't want to buy both those plays, you can get 7 days still for $69. That expires tonight, I believe. So take advantage of that. Obviously, you're going to get everything in one package versus just buying individual plays. But hey, $5 play, team total, or best bet, 5% play, take $10 off with the promo code SAVE10. Looking forward to a huge day. 10-game NHL slate. Let's make it happen, Jeff.
We can't wait. Again, go follow Andrew at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk, wt.buzz /AM. He goes live in exactly 41 minutes. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, one and only Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks. Wish everyone a blessed day. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned.